Hey, what's up everyone? Well, today in this topic of this video, this is an important topic. But anyway, today we're going to talk about 3 processes I'm not willing to pay. The first process I'm not willing to pay is this: being yourself. Now, being yourself comes with a price. Being yourself leads to judgment, of course. Being yourself, like being your inner child, authentic self, leads to people telling you to grow up, leads to people telling you shouldn't watch SpongeBob because you're too old, but this and that. I'm like, come on, man. Yeah, that's what being yourself leads to. Now, here comes the thing. That's why I choose to be cool. Because, listen, years ago, before I became a cool guy, became popular and stuff, I was a nerd. Bullied every day from daycare all the way to elementary school. At 12 years old, I realized something. I said, you know what? I can't deal with this. Either I made two choices. I've made a choice. I made two choices between. The 2 choices are either remain a nerd and keep getting picked on, or become cool and popular and have Jesus in your heart and become popular. So I chose elite. I chose to go in the path of having Jesus in your heart, becoming cool and popular. And it changed. Over time, I became cooler and cooler and cooler. Now, I got 458 friends. So basically, I stopped being a nerd 10 years ago. Okay? I stopped being a nerd 10 years ago at the age of 12. At 12 years old, I became one of the cool kids. Now, you may think to yourself, Cameron, what's bullying have anything to, what's got anything to do with being yourself? I stopped being myself 10 years ago. I was a nerd before I became this cool guy that you see today. So yeah. Now, the third reason, the second price I'm not willing to pay is this: being vulnerable. And I've talked about being vulnerable as weak and everything. I've talked about it in many videos. Many times I have talked about how being vulnerable is weak and it must be kept private or something. It must be just like being vulnerable is just a weak thing to have. And here's the thing. Being vulnerable comes with a price. Being vulnerable leads to judgment. It leads to people telling you stop crying or give yourself something to cry about. We all been there. We all been in the place where your dad is telling you, you say, well, stop crying and give you something to cry about. That changed the way I see vulnerability. That's why I say being vulnerable is weak. The way I was raised, the way I was taught about crying and everything, tears and stuff, that's the way it changed the way I see tears. It changed the way I see it. Now, being vulnerable is something that's a price I'm not willing to pay. If I be vulnerable, let me tell you something. If I've been vulnerable one time, those 458 friends on the wall, let me tell you something. All of those 458 friends, if I be vulnerable one time, those 458 friends will completely vanish. The thing I'm saying is, if I be myself one time, those 458 friends will go night-night. Now, you may think to yourself, so well, Cameron, how do you have 458 friends? You don't have many friends on YouTube. Well, here's the thing. I've made those friends for 3 reasons. There are 3 reasons why I made 458 friends. The first reason, well, I got Jesus in my heart. That's obvious. You can tell. Number 2, I'm a really cool guy. I became that way. Number 3, I'm very talented. But you already know. Those are the 3 reasons why I got 458 friends. Now I can't show you the names because it might give me a strike or something. but I can show you the win. But I ain't gonna show you the whole thing. I'm gonna show you what's in there. See, that's my first prize ribbon. I'm a 6-time Special Olympic champion. I didn't show you the whole thing because personal information. Because YouTube is very weird about this. They're very weird about the policies and stuff. But anyway, if I've been vulnerable one time, those 458 friends will go night-night. The only friend I'll have left is my brother. That's how bad it will be if I've been vulnerable one time. The third price I'm not willing to pay is this. When it comes to being disciplined, like what I mean by like grounded, like taking something from you or anything like that. And the thing about going to jail for something wrong, that is a price I'm not willing to pay either. That is something that I'm going to have to I have to delete myself for that at that point. I have to delete myself. Because if I say the other word, again I might get a strike. Again. And that part will be a valid reason. So, if I had to go to jail for any reason, I will have to delete myself. I will absolutely have to delete myself. Because I cannot stand the thoughts of me in that place. I can't have that. So at that point, that is the price I'm not willing to pay. And God in heaven will not let that happen. Unless I did something really, really, really bad. Like if I actually delete someone or something like that. Unless I'm doing that, God would not let me go to jail or any type of institution. Because as long as God is involved, as long as God is protecting me and my family, friends, and everything, I got myself covered. So those are the 3 prices I'm not willing to pay. So yeah, there you have it. So make sure to subscribe, smash the like button, click on the notification bell. I hope you know that those prices I'm not willing to pay, obvious. So yeah, like I said, rock on as always. God bless you. God loves you. Oh yeah, know that you're not cute to mental cap, but cool. And as always, anime girls are not real. Just so you know.